Thanks very much for your company. We're talking to Kelly O'Dwyer now. She's the Parliamentary Secretary to the Treasurer. She may well be moving up the ranks if some of the speculation is correct. She joins us live from Canberra. Thanks very much for your company.
Good afternoon, Peter.
Let me start by asking you about, you'll be blown away, a policy question. The whole divestment of foreign-owned properties, residential property illegally owned. I think you're 5 from 5 as a government for people that have been nabbed on this, that have chosen to take advantage of the window. It's a relatively brief window to avoid the harsher penalties attached to the legislation. How many more people are you expecting to take advantage of that before that window closes?
Well, the window closes on the 30th of November of this year for concessional treatment, that the Treasurer can divest the property on those people, so force a sale of the property that is illegally held by those people who have made an illegal purchase. And we have announced today 5 forced sales. In fact, there has been 11 forced sales of concessional properties, receiving concessional treatment of those properties since March this year. 12 in total, though. We can't forget that there was a very clear divestment of a $39 million property right at the beginning of the year, which means that under this government we have had 12 forced sales of properties that are illegally held, which compares to 0 under the Labor government. We've brought in very, very strong penalties to close loopholes that existed in the foreign investment framework. That's going through the Parliament today. I'll be giving a summing up speech on those penalties today. And we've currently got now, as a result of the transfer of powers to the Australian Taxation Office, we've currently got around about 500 investigations on foot. There are 50 people in the ATO who are data matching at the moment, and the values of those properties are around about $1 billion. $1 billion in total value. So we will see more announcements coming from the Treasurer in terms of forced sales where people breach the Act. And we say to people, you have got until the 30th of November to come forward. After that time, the new penalties will apply to you.
I assume, Kelly O'Dwyer, that you're a thoroughly modern politician. We've got a new Prime Minister. He talks about wanting to embrace digital technology and innovation and all the rest of it. Apparently, according to Laurie Oakes, Channel 9's political editor, the outgoing Prime Minister resigned by fax. One of the tweets that went out on Twitter from someone said that after Abbott resigned by fax, he must have written a cheque for the milkman, put on his Walkman and strode off into the sunset in his acid-washed jeans.
Well, what would you like me to say to that, Peter?
Well, I'm just saying, one of the advantages of changing Prime Ministers presumably is the embrace of technology and innovation. That will be a marked difference, won't it?
Well, look, I certainly don't have any insight into how the Prime Minister provided his resignation. I think everyone acknowledges that it has been a very difficult week, and these events are done with a very heavy heart. It's absolutely true to say, though, that the new Prime Minister is somebody who does embrace technology. I think he tweets where he is and what he's doing on a pretty regular basis. He engages in Facebook. In fact, he came down to my electorate of Higgins not long ago, had politics in the pub session. We Facebooked that to people to invite them to come along. We were overwhelmed with the response. In fact, we couldn't fit anybody else in the room. And after that event, we had people reporting on it on my Facebook page. So I think it's fair to say he does embrace technology. It's a good way to stay in contact with people, to gather new ideas and to certainly communicate the message.
We are going to move on from sort of picking over the entrails of what's happened inevitably, but you can understand, Kelly O'Dwyer, that just within days of something as extraordinary as this happening, that we do have to look back a little bit. What was so wrong with Tony Abbott's leadership that he had to suffer the ignominy of being demoted, removed, sacked, knifed, as I think he's put it, as Prime Minister in just his first term?
Well, I think it was very clear from the events earlier in the year in February that a broad cross-section of the Coalition Party room had some concerns regarding the leadership of the Prime Minister and the overall management style. I don't think it really profits me to go into any further detail around that. I think it's very clear from the result in the party room only this week that those concerns had not been addressed. It is, I think, very sad that it has come to this, but I think we are now looking forward, and we have in Malcolm Turnbull a Prime Minister who, as you say, embraces technology, and somebody who I think will clearly articulate a strong vision for our nation, someone who understands the importance of respecting the aspirations of all Australians, somebody who understands the great traditions of the Liberal Party, which is a balance between those who are of the conservative tradition and those who are perhaps of the more small L liberal tradition. I think we are very optimistic about the future. We are a united party room, and we are working every day for the betterment of our fellow Australians.
But realistically, there has to be renewal, according to a lot of commentators. One of the criticisms, of course, of Tony Abbott was that there hasn't been enough renewal since he took over the leadership back in 2009, the mantra being stability. People like Kevin Andrews have been out today talking about the importance of continuity. If there's to be continuity, there won't be renewal. Which one do you think it should be? Well,
I think you... what a great question, Peter. Look, far be it from me to give advice to the Prime Minister, who I'm very confident will be turning his mind to this very thorny question. I'm very confident he will bring the best possible team forward. I'm confident in his judgment on that. I don't think he needs any advice from me.
All right. Do you accept, though, the criticism that came in the outgoing Prime Minister's final media statement? He also, as I understand it, was very pointed in the party room on the evening that he was deposed, where he basically made the point that white-anting, his words, white-anting was going on, and really that was the primary problem with his prime ministership. Is that just a case of denial?
Well, I think I responded to this question before, but I think his point, the point that he was making in the press conference that he gave, was that he doesn't want to see white-anting. He speaks to those who have supported him. He doesn't want to see them white-ant the Prime Minister, Malcolm Turnbull, and I'm very confident that that won't occur.
But he believes he was white-anting.
And the National Party is not like the Labor Party, and Tony Abbott is no Kevin Rudd.
But he believes he was white-anted himself, though, so that would make it like the Labor Party in Tony Abbott's view.
Well, these are questions you'd have to put to Tony Abbott.
All right, fair enough. I've got a sneaking suspicion I'm going to struggle for an interview there. But let me ask you this, though. Looking at where the government goes from here, one of the big mantras for change was right in your policy area, your pal sec to the Treasurer. The argument coming from Malcolm Turnbull was that there needed to be a change of direction in terms of the economic settings. Do you concur with that? And if you do concur with it, did you ever make any musings to that effect privately to Joe Hoggie?
Well, I think I think a lot has been made of these statements. I think what the Prime Minister was saying is that we need to be very focused each and every day on acknowledging that the key issue for Australians is 1, 2 and 3, the economy, and in ensuring that we get the policy settings right to encourage people into jobs, to ensure that business can grow, to again encourage jobs, to make sure that we implement free trade agreements that will grow jobs. That's the point that he is making, that the economy is central to improving the living standards of all Australians, and that as a government it should be our #1 focus.
All right, Khalil Dwyer, we will no doubt speak again in the weeks and months ahead to see how all of that has gone. Appreciate you joining us on Newsday. Thanks for your company.
Thanks very much, Peter.
All right, coming up after the break here on the program, Laura Jays will join me for To The Point, and we will be taking another look at exactly what I was talking to Khalil Dwyer about.